If you are a woman over 50 and you are sitting here at the end of another year feeling like you have spent your entire life living for other people, if you look back at 2025 and realize you cannot name a single thing you did just for yourself, if every new year for the past 30 years you have made resolutions about being a better wife, a better mother, a better daughter, a better friend, a better employee, but you have never made a resolution about being better to yourself, this video is for you. Because what I am about to tell you will change how you think about New Year's resolutions forever. The truth is, most New Year's resolutions for women over 50 are just more self-abandonment dressed up as self-improvement. They are not about becoming who you actually want to be. They are about becoming who everyone else needs you to be. And 2026 can be different, but only if you are willing to tell the truth about what resolutions actually are and what they have been costing you. This video is not going to give you tips for keeping your resolutions. I am not going to tell you to make them specific or measurable or write them down or find an accountability partner. Because the problem is not that you are bad at keeping resolutions. The problem is that you are making the wrong resolutions. You are resolving to be more, to do more, to give more, to sacrifice more, and that is killing you. So instead, I am going to show you the 5 lies you have been told about New Year's resolutions, the psychological damage those lies cause, and then I am going to give you a completely different framework for how to approach 2026. A framework that is not about doing more for other people. It is about finally doing something for yourself. By the end of this video, you will understand why traditional New Year's resolutions fail women over 50. You will see the cultural programming that has trained you to use every new year as an opportunity for more self-sacrifice. You will recognize the cost of living this way, and you will have a new framework grounded in the psychology of Walter Riso for creating real, sustainable change that serves you instead of everyone else. You will walk into 2026 with clarity, with boundaries, with permission to prioritize yourself for the first time in decades. And that shift will change not just your year, but your life. But before we go deeper, I need something from you right now. If you are a woman over 50 who is exhausted from living for everyone else, if you look at the new year and feel dread instead of hope because you know it is just going to be more of the same, if you are ready to stop making resolutions that abandon you and start making choices that honor you, subscribe to this channel immediately and turn on notifications. This is Enough and Whole, where we talk about the real psychology of emotional independence for women over 50. We do not do toxic positivity here. We do not tell you to just try harder. We tell you the truth about the systems that exploit you, and we give you tools to reclaim your life. Every week, I bring you content that sees you and validates you. So subscribe now, hit that bell, and let's continue. Now let me start by naming what actually happens every new year for most women over 50. You sit down, probably alone, probably after everyone else has gone to bed, and you think about what you want to change. And the first things that come to mind are not about you. They are about other people. You think, I need to be more patient with my mother. I need to call my sister more. I need to be more supportive of my husband. I need to lose weight so my family does not worry about my health. I need to organize the house better so everyone is more comfortable. I need to be less emotional so I do not burden people. Every single resolution is about making yourself better for other people, about fixing the parts of yourself that inconvenience others, about becoming more useful, more pleasant, more accommodating, more invisible. And you write these resolutions down. Maybe you tell someone. Maybe you keep them private. And for the first few weeks of January, you try. You really try. You are more patient even when you are exhausted. You call people even when you do not have the energy. You go to the gym even though you hate it. You smile even when you want to scream. You perform the new, improved version of yourself. And it is exhausting. And by February, you have abandoned most of the resolutions. Not because you are weak, not because you lack discipline, but because you are trying to sustain a level of self-sacrifice that is unsustainable. You are trying to be even more for other people when you are already depleted from being too much for other people for 50 years. And then you feel guilty. You feel like you failed. You tell yourself, I could not even keep my resolutions for 2 months. What is wrong with me? Why can I not just do better? And you carry that guilt for the rest of the year until December comes again and you make the same resolutions all over again. More patience, more sacrifice, more self-improvement that is really just more self-erasure. And the cycle continues, year after year, decade after decade, until you wake up at 55, 60, 65 and realize, I have spent my entire life trying to be better for other people, and I have never once asked what would make me better for myself. Walter Riso teaches that self-abandonment is not love. It is not virtue. It is not what good women do. Self-abandonment is self-destruction. And New Year's resolutions, the way they are typically framed for women, are just annual rituals of self-destruction. They are opportunities to recommit to living for everyone else, to recommit to making yourself smaller, quieter, more convenient, to recommit to the lie that your worth comes from how much you give and how little you need. And until you see that clearly, until you recognize that the entire framework of New Year's resolutions is designed to keep you trapped in self-sacrifice, you will keep making resolutions that harm you and wondering why you cannot keep them. So this year, 2026, you are going to do something different. You are not going to make resolutions about being more for other people. You are going to make commitments about being more for yourself. And that shift, that one simple shift from resolutions to commitments, from other-focused to self-focused, is going to change everything. Because for the first time in your life, you are going to use the new year as an opportunity to reclaim yourself instead of abandoning yourself. And that is revolutionary. Now let's break down the 5 specific lies you have been told about New Year's resolutions. These lies are so deeply embedded in the culture, so normalized, that you probably do not even recognize them as lies. You think they are truth. You think they are wisdom. But they are not. They are propaganda designed to keep women in a state of constant self-improvement that is really just constant self-sacrifice. And once you see these lies clearly, you cannot unsee them. And once you cannot unsee them, you can finally stop believing them. The first lie is that you need to improve yourself every year. The entire premise of New Year's resolutions is that you are not good enough as you are, that you need to be better, thinner, more organized, more patient, more productive, more giving. The culture tells you, if you are not constantly improving, you are stagnant, you are lazy, you are wasting your potential. So every January, you look at yourself and identify everything that is wrong, everything that needs fixing, everything that makes you inadequate, and you resolve to fix it. But here is the truth. You do not need to be fixed. You are not broken. You are a human being who has survived 50, 60, 70 years of life. You have endured loss, trauma, disappointment, betrayal. You have raised children, built careers, navigated relationships, survived systems designed to exploit you. You are not inadequate. You are extraordinary. And the idea that you need to spend every January identifying your flaws and committing to fix them is a lie designed to keep you in a state of chronic inadequacy. Walter Riso teaches that self-acceptance is the foundation of mental health. Not self-improvement. Self-acceptance. Accepting yourself as you are, with your limitations, with your imperfections, with your humanity. And self-improvement, when it comes from a place of self-rejection, is toxic. It is not growth. It is violence. You are telling yourself, I am not acceptable as I am. I need to be different to be worthy. And that message, repeated every year for decades, destroys your sense of self. So the first lie you need to reject is that you need to improve. You do not need to improve. You need to accept yourself. And any change that comes after that acceptance is not improvement. It is evolution. And evolution is voluntary, not obligatory. The second lie is that willpower is the problem. Every January, when people make resolutions, the advice is always the same. You need more discipline, more willpower, more commitment. And when you fail to keep your resolutions, the conclusion is, you did not want it enough. You were not disciplined enough. You lacked willpower. But that conclusion is wrong. The problem is not willpower. The problem is that the resolutions you are making are misaligned with what you actually need. You are resolving to do things that deplete you, that harm you, that require you to override your own needs and desires. And no amount of willpower can sustain that. Because willpower is a finite resource. It runs out. And when it runs out, you default back to what your body and your nervous system actually need, which is rest, boundaries, and self-protection. So when you make a resolution to lose weight by restricting food and forcing yourself to exercise, you are asking your body to do something it does not want to do. Your body wants nourishment. Your body wants rest. Your body wants to be accepted as it is. And no amount of willpower can override that indefinitely. When you make a resolution to be more patient with difficult people, you are asking your nervous system to tolerate harm. Your nervous system wants to protect you. Your nervous system wants you to set boundaries, and no amount of willpower can override that indefinitely. The problem is not that you lack willpower. The problem is that you are trying to will yourself into self-abandonment, and self-abandonment is not sustainable. The third lie is that change happens in January. The culture treats January 1st like it is a magic reset button. Like somehow, because the calendar changed, you can completely transform your life. But that is not how change works. Real change does not happen because the date changed. Real change happens when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. Real change happens when you have clarity about what you actually want. Real change happens when you have support. Real change happens gradually, through small, consistent actions over time. Not through dramatic declarations on January 1st, followed by frantic effort for 2 weeks, and then collapse. The obsession with January 1st as the day to start changing is a lie that sets you up for failure. Because if you are not ready to change, if you have not done the internal work to understand why you want to change and what you actually need, then starting on January 1st is arbitrary. It is performative. It is you doing what you think you are supposed to do rather than what you actually need to do. And that is why most resolutions fail by February. Because they were never grounded in real readiness. They were grounded in cultural obligation. You made resolutions because that is what you are supposed to do on New Year's, not because you were actually ready to change. The fourth lie is that you should share your resolutions publicly for accountability. The advice is always, tell people your resolutions so they can hold you accountable. Post them on social media. Tell your family. Make them public so you will be embarrassed if you fail, and that embarrassment will motivate you to succeed. But this advice is psychologically harmful for most women, because when you make your resolutions public, you are no longer changing for yourself. You are changing for an audience. You are performing change. And performance is exhausting. Performance is unsustainable. And performance means that every time you struggle, every time you slip, every time you need to adjust your approach, you feel shame, because you are not just failing yourself, you are failing publicly. And that shame does not motivate you. It paralyzes you. Walter Riso teaches that real change is private. It is internal. It happens between you and yourself. And accountability, when it is genuine, is not about public performance. It is about having 1 or 2 trusted people who understand your goals, who support you without judgment, who check in with you with compassion rather than criticism. Public accountability is not accountability. It is social pressure. And social pressure does not create sustainable change. It creates shame-driven compliance that collapses the moment the pressure is removed. The fifth lie is that success means keeping your resolutions all year. The culture defines success as, I made a resolution on January 1st and I kept it for 365 days without fail. But that definition of success is absurd. Life changes, circumstances change, you change. What felt important in January might not feel important in June. What felt achievable in January might become impossible in March because of a crisis, a loss, a change in your life. And if your definition of success is rigid adherence to a resolution you made on one specific day, you are setting yourself up to feel like a failure no matter what, because life is not rigid, life is fluid, and your goals need to be fluid too. Real success is not keeping a resolution for a year. Real success is learning to listen to yourself, learning to adjust when something is not working, learning to let go of goals that no longer serve you, learning to be flexible, compassionate, and responsive to your actual needs rather than rigidly committed to a plan you made when you were in a completely different emotional and physical state. So the lie that success means unwavering commitment to a resolution is a lie that traps you in shame. Because no one keeps resolutions perfectly for an entire year. And pretending that is the standard just means everyone fails and everyone feels inadequate. Now, let's talk about what these lies actually cost you, because most people think failed resolutions are just a minor disappointment. You tried, it did not work, you move on. But that is not what happens psychologically. Failed resolutions, especially when you fail them year after year, cause real, measurable psychological damage. They erode your sense of self. They reinforce learned helplessness. They create chronic shame. And they keep you trapped in cycles of self-blame that prevent you from ever actually changing. The first cost is chronic inadequacy. Every time you make a resolution and fail to keep it, you internalize a message. I am not capable. I am not disciplined enough. I am not strong enough. I am not good enough. And when this happens once, you recover. But when it happens every January for 20, 30, 40 years, the message sinks deep. You start to believe that you are fundamentally inadequate, that you are someone who cannot follow through, that you are weak, that you are a failure. And that belief affects everything. It affects your confidence. It affects your willingness to try new things. It affects your sense of agency in your own life. Because if you believe you are incapable of change, why would you try to change anything? So you stay stuck. Not because you are actually incapable, but because you believe you are. And that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The second cost is reinforced self-abandonment. Most resolutions women make are about abandoning themselves further, about being more for other people, about fixing the parts of themselves that inconvenience others. And when you fail those resolutions, when you cannot sustain the self-abandonment, you feel guilty. You think, I could not even do this one thing. I could not even be more patient. I could not even lose the weight. I could not even keep the house cleaner. I failed at the most basic things. But what you are actually failing at is self-destruction. You are failing to sustain a level of self-sacrifice that is unsustainable. And instead of recognizing that the goal was the problem, you conclude that you are the problem. So you resolve to try harder next year, to abandon yourself more, to sacrifice more. And the cycle deepens. The third cost is shame spirals. Shame is the emotion that says, I am bad. Not I did something bad, but I am bad. And failed resolutions create shame, because you do not just think, I did not keep my resolution. You think, I am the kind of person who cannot keep resolutions. I am weak. I am lazy. I am undisciplined. And that shame does not motivate change. Shame paralyzes. Shame makes you avoid. Shame makes you hide. So instead of learning from the experience, instead of asking, why did this resolution fail? What was I actually trying to achieve? What do I actually need? You just feel terrible about yourself. And that feeling does not lead to growth. It leads to more shame. And shame spirals are incredibly difficult to escape. Because once you believe you are fundamentally inadequate, Every failed attempt to change confirms that belief, and the spiral deepens. The fourth cost is disconnection from your actual desires. When you spend every January making resolutions about what you should do, what you are supposed to do, what other people need you to do, you lose touch with what you actually want. You stop asking yourself, what do I desire? What would bring me joy? What would make my life feel more aligned with who I actually am? Because those questions are irrelevant in a resolution framework that is entirely focused on obligation. So year after year, you drift further from yourself. You become someone who only knows how to respond to external demands. Someone who has no idea what she actually wants because she has spent decades ignoring that question entirely. And that disconnection is devastating. Because a life lived entirely in response to obligation is not a life. It is a performance, and performances are exhausting. Walter Riso teaches that living disconnected from your desires is a form of psychological death. You are alive physically, but dead internally. You are going through the motions, but you are not actually living. And women over 50, after decades of making resolutions that have nothing to do with their actual desires, wake up one day and realize, I do not know who I am. I do not know what I want. I do not know what would make me happy. Because I have been so focused on being what everyone else needs that I lost myself completely. And that realization is both devastating and liberating. Devastating because of the grief. Liberating because once you see it, you can finally start to rebuild. Now let's talk about why women over 50 specifically need a completely different approach to New Year's resolutions. Because the traditional framework does not just fail you, it actively harms you in ways that are unique to your stage of life. You are not 25 anymore. You do not have unlimited energy. You do not have decades ahead of you to waste on goals that do not serve you. You have lived long enough to know what matters and what does not. And you deserve an approach to change that honors that wisdom instead of ignoring it. The first reason you need a different approach is that you are already depleted. By the time you reach 50, you have spent decades giving. You have given to your children, your partner, your parents, your job, your community. You have been the caretaker, the peacemaker, the one who makes sure everyone else is okay. And that giving has cost you. You are tired, you are burned out, you are running on empty. So making resolutions that require you to give more, to do more, to be more, is not just unrealistic, it is harmful. You do not need to add more to your plate. You need to remove things from your plate. You do not need more discipline. You need rest. You do not need to improve. You need to recover. The second reason is that you have less time left. This is not morbid. This is reality. You do not have 50 years ahead of you. You have maybe 20, maybe 30, if you are lucky. And that awareness changes everything. You do not have time to waste on resolutions that do not actually matter. You do not have time to spend another year trying to be thinner, more patient, more organized for other people. You need to spend the time you have left on things that actually bring you joy, meaning peace. Things that are for you, not for everyone else. And recognizing that urgency is not depressing. It is clarifying. It helps you see what actually matters. The third reason is that you have wisdom now that you did not have at 25. You know yourself. You know what works for you and what does not. You know what drains you and what nourishes you. You know which people are worth your energy and which are not. You know what makes you happy and what makes you miserable. And that wisdom should be the foundation of any change you make. Not external rules, not societal expectations, not what worked for someone else. Your own lived experience. Your own truth. And traditional New Year's resolutions ignore that wisdom. They tell you to follow generic advice, lose weight, exercise more, be more organized. But those goals might not align with your actual life, your actual needs, your actual desires. So you need a framework that starts with your wisdom, not with generic advice. The fourth reason is that your body is different now. You are not 25. Your metabolism is slower. Your hormones are different. Your energy levels are different. Your recovery time is different. And making resolutions that ignore those realities is setting yourself up for failure. If you resolve to exercise 6 days a week and your body needs more recovery time, you will fail. Not because you lack discipline, but because your body cannot sustain it. If you resolve to restrict calories and your body is already struggling with hormonal changes, you will fail. Not because you lack willpower, but because you are fighting your biology. So any approach to change needs to account for the reality of your body as it is now, not as it was 30 years ago. Walter Riso teaches that honoring your body is not weakness, it is wisdom. And women over 50 need to stop treating their bodies like they are 25 and start treating them with the respect, care, and gentleness they deserve. That means making commitments that work with your body, not against it. That means prioritizing rest, recovery, nourishment, and movement that feels good rather than punishing yourself with exercise you hate and diets that deprive you. Your body has carried you through 50 years of life. It deserves kindness, not criticism. Now I need to pause and ask you something directly. How many years have you spent making New Year's resolutions that abandon you? How many Januaries have you spent resolving to be more for other people and less for yourself? Type a number in the comments. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, just type the number. Because seeing that number, acknowledging how long you have been trapped in this cycle, is part of waking up. And once you wake up, you can finally make a different choice. So pause, go to the comments, type your number. And then come back, because what comes next is going to give you the framework to finally break the cycle. Now let me give you the new framework. Instead of resolutions, you are going to make commitments. And the difference between a resolution and a commitment is everything. A resolution is external. It is about becoming what you should be. A commitment is internal. It is about honoring who you actually are. A resolution is rigid. A commitment is flexible. A resolution measures success by perfection. A commitment measures success by alignment. And this shift from resolutions to commitments is what allows you to finally create change that serves you instead of destroying you. The first principle of this new framework is that commitments start with self-knowledge, not self-criticism. Before you commit to anything, you need to get honest with yourself about what you actually need, not what you should need, not what other people need from you. What you need. And that requires sitting with yourself, quietly, honestly, and asking questions you have probably been avoiding for years. What is actually draining me? What is actually nourishing me? What do I keep doing that I hate? What have I stopped doing that I love? What relationships are harming me? What boundaries do I need to set? What would make me feel more at peace? What would make me feel more alive? These questions are not about improvement. They are about clarity. They are about getting real with yourself, about the state of your life as it actually is, not as you wish it was or as other people think it should be. And the answers to these questions become the foundation for your commitments. Because if you commit to something that is not aligned with your actual needs, you will fail. Not because you lack discipline, but because you are trying to force yourself into something that does not fit who you actually are. Walter Riso teaches that self-knowledge is the foundation of all real change. You cannot change in ways that serve you if you do not know who you are, what you need, what you value. So the first step is not making commitments. The first step is getting to know yourself. Really know yourself. Not the performed version. Not the version other people see. The version that exists when you are alone. When you are honest. When you stop pretending. That version is who you are committing to in 2026. The second principle is that commitments are about subtraction, not addition. Traditional resolutions are always about adding. Add exercise, add organization, add patience, add productivity. But for women over 50 who are already depleted, addition is not the answer. Subtraction is. What can you remove from your life? What can you stop doing? What obligations can you release? What relationships can you step back from? What expectations can you let go of? What performances can you stop? Subtraction creates space, space for rest, space for joy, space for yourself. And space is what you need most. So instead of resolving to add more to your already overwhelming life, commit to removing what is harming you. Commit to saying no more often. Commit to setting boundaries with people who drain you. Commit to quitting activities you do not enjoy. Commit to simplifying your life in ways that give you more time, more energy, more peace. This is not laziness. This is wisdom. This is recognizing that your energy is finite and you need to protect it. The third principle is that commitments are flexible, not rigid. A resolution says, I will do this thing every day for a year, no matter what. A commitment says, I will move toward this value in ways that make sense for my life as it changes. A resolution measures success by perfection. A commitment measures success by direction. Are you moving toward what you value? Are you making choices that align with who you want to be? That is success. Even if the specific actions change, even if you adjust along the way, even if some days you do nothing, because commitment is about long-term alignment, not short-term perfection. For example, instead of resolving, I will exercise 5 days a week, you commit to, I will move my body in ways that feel good and honor my energy levels. Some weeks that might be 5 days. Some weeks that might be 2 days. Some weeks that might be gentle stretching instead of intense workouts. All of that is success because you are staying aligned with the value of honoring your body. Instead of resolving, I will lose 20 pounds, you commit to, I will nourish my body with food that makes me feel good and stop punishing myself for how my body looks. That commitment allows for flexibility. It allows for humanity. It allows for life to happen without everything collapsing the moment you are not perfect. The fourth principle is that commitments are private, not public. You do not need to announce your commitments on social media. You do not need to tell everyone what you are changing. You do not need external validation or accountability from people who do not actually understand your goals. Your commitments are between you and yourself. And the only accountability that matters is internal accountability. Are you keeping the promises you made to yourself? Are you honoring your own needs? Are you treating yourself with the respect you deserve? That is the accountability that creates real change, not public performance. Not fear of judgment. Internal integrity. You can share your commitments with 1 or 2 trusted people if you want. People who understand you. People who will support you without judgment. People who will check in with compassion rather than criticism. But you do not owe anyone else an explanation for how you are choosing to live your life. Your commitments are yours. And protecting them from public scrutiny protects you from shame when you need to adjust them. Now let me give you 5 specific commitments that almost every woman over 50 needs to make. These are not generic. These are specifically designed for women at this stage of life who have spent decades abandoning themselves and are finally ready to reclaim their lives. You do not have to make all 5. Choose the ones that resonate, but consider each one carefully because these are the commitments that will actually change your life in 2026. The first commitment is, I will stop saying yes when I mean no. This is the foundation of everything. You have spent your life saying yes to things you do not want to do because you are afraid of disappointing people, afraid of being seen as selfish, afraid of conflict. And every yes that should have been a no is an act of self-betrayal. It is you choosing other people's comfort over your own well-being. And after 50 years of that, you are exhausted. So, the commitment is simple. I will practice saying no, not perfectly, not every time, but more than I have been. I will start noticing when I am about to say yes out of obligation instead of desire. And I will pause. And I will consider, do I actually want to do this? Or am I just afraid of what will happen if I say no? And if the answer is fear, I will practice saying no anyway. This commitment is terrifying at first, because saying no has consequences. People will be disappointed. People will call you selfish. People will guilt you. But here is the truth. Those consequences are less damaging than the consequence of continuing to say yes to things that deplete you. Every yes that should be a no costs you energy, time, peace, and self-respect. And you do not have unlimited amounts of those things to give, so protecting them is not selfish. It is necessary. Practice no. Start with small things. No, I cannot help with that project. No, I cannot attend that event. No, I am not available that day. And gradually, saying no will become less terrifying and more empowering, because every no is a yes to yourself. The second commitment is, I will stop performing who I think I should be and start being who I actually am. You have spent your life editing yourself, making yourself smaller, quieter, more pleasant, less complicated, so other people will accept you. You have hidden your anger, your opinions, your desires, your truth, because you were afraid that the real you is too much. But the real you is not too much. The real you is the only version of you that is actually alive. And 2026 is the year you stop performing and start existing. This does not mean you become cruel or reckless. This means you stop lying. You stop pretending. You stop agreeing when you disagree. You stop smiling when you are angry. You stop saying you are fine when you are not. You tell the truth. Not loudly, not dramatically, just honestly. I do not agree with that. That does not work for me. I am not fine. I am struggling. Truth-telling is radical for women who have been trained to be pleasant at all costs. But truth-telling is also freedom. Because the moment you stop performing, you stop exhausting yourself. And you finally get to find out who actually loves the real you, not just the performed version. The third commitment is, I will prioritize rest without guilt. You are tired, deeply, profoundly tired. And you have been tired for years, maybe decades. But every time you think about resting, you feel guilty. You tell yourself you should be productive. You should be doing something useful. Rest is lazy. Rest is selfish. But that belief is killing you. Your body needs rest. Your nervous system needs rest. Your mind needs rest. And rest is not a luxury. Rest is a biological necessity. So the commitment is, I will rest when I am tired. I will nap. I will say no to plans so I can stay home. I will do less so I can be more. I will stop judging myself for needing rest and start honoring my body's signals. This is not giving up. This is survival. This is you finally acknowledging that you are a human being with limits, not a machine designed to serve everyone else indefinitely. The fourth commitment is, I will set boundaries with people who harm me, even if they are family. This is the hardest commitment for most women, because you have been taught that family is everything, that you owe family loyalty no matter what. That blood is thicker than water. But family that harms you is not sacred. Family that disrespects you, dismisses you, uses you, abuses you, does not get unlimited access to you just because you share DNA. So the commitment is, I will protect myself from harm, even when the harm comes from family. I will limit contact with people who drain me. I will stop attending gatherings that destroy me. I will stop tolerating behavior that violates my dignity. I will love people from a distance if that is what I need to survive. And I will not apologize for it. This does not make you a bad daughter, a bad sister, a bad person. This makes you someone who has finally decided that your emotional survival matters more than other people's comfort. The fifth commitment is, I will spend time on things that bring me joy, not just on things that are useful. When was the last time you did something just because it made you happy? Not because it was productive, not because it served someone else, not because it was responsible, just because it brought you joy. For most women over 50, the answer is, I cannot remember. Because joy has been deprioritized. Joy has been seen as frivolous. Joy has been something you will get to later, after everything else is done, but everything else is never done. So joy never happens. And a life without joy is not a life worth living. So the commitment is, I will do at least one thing every week that brings me joy. I will read for pleasure. I will take a walk just to enjoy being outside. I will cook something I love. I will listen to music. I will create art. I will spend time with people who make me laugh. I will prioritize joy not as a reward for being productive, but as a necessary part of being alive. Joy is not selfish. Joy is fuel, and you cannot keep going without it. Now let's talk about how to actually implement these commitments without overwhelming yourself. Because one of the reasons traditional resolutions fail is that people try to change everything at once. They make 10 resolutions on January 1st, and by January 15th, they are burned out and they have abandoned all of them. So you are not going to do that. You are going to choose one commitment, just one, the one that feels most urgent, the one that, if you made progress on it, would change your life most significantly. And you are going to focus on that one commitment for the first quarter of 2026, not the whole year. Just 3 months. Because 3 months is long enough to see progress, but short enough to stay focused. Let's say you choose the commitment to stop saying yes when you mean no. Your implementation plan for January through March is simple. Every time someone asks you to do something, you pause before answering. You do not answer immediately out of habit. You pause. And you ask yourself, do I actually want to do this? Or am I saying yes out of obligation or fear? If the answer is obligation or fear, you practice saying no. You do not have to give a long explanation. You just say, I am not available. That does not work for me. I need to decline. And then you sit with the discomfort that comes after saying no. Because there will be discomfort. People will be disappointed. You will feel guilty. But you do not let that discomfort pull you back into yes. You sit with it. You breathe through it. And you remind yourself, this discomfort is temporary. But the cost of continuing to say yes when I mean no is permanent. And every time you successfully say no, you write it down. You keep a list. Not to share with anyone, just for yourself. So you can see, I am doing this. I am changing. I am protecting myself. And that list becomes evidence that you are capable of change. That you are not the person who always fails at resolutions. You are the person who is learning to honor yourself. And that evidence is powerful. It builds confidence. It builds momentum. And by the end of March, you will have said no dozens of times, and you will start to notice, I have more energy. I have more time. I feel less resentful. I feel more at peace. And that is success. Then in April, you either continue deepening that commitment or you add a second commitment. But you do not add a second commitment until the first one feels sustainable, until it is not taking all your energy to maintain it. Because the goal is not to do everything at once. The goal is to build sustainable change over time. And sustainable change is gradual. It is patient. It is compassionate. It honors your humanity instead of demanding perfection. Walter Riso teaches that real change is built through small, consistent actions repeated over time, not through dramatic declarations followed by frantic effort. So you are not going to be dramatic. You are not going to try to transform your entire life in January. You are going to choose one thing, and you are going to practice that one thing with consistency and self-compassion until it becomes part of who you are. And then you will choose the next thing. And gradually, over the course of 2026, you will rebuild your life in ways that honor you instead of abandoning you. Now let me give you a specific tool for managing the guilt that will come when you start honoring these commitments. Because guilt is inevitable. You have been trained for 50 years to prioritize other people. So when you start prioritizing yourself, your brain will panic. It will send you guilt as a way of trying to pull you back into the old pattern. And if you do not have a strategy for managing that guilt, it will win. So here is the strategy. Every time you feel guilty for honoring a commitment, you write down 3 things. First, what specifically am I feeling guilty about? Be specific. I feel guilty for saying no to hosting Thanksgiving. Second, did I harm anyone by making this choice? Be honest. The answer is almost always no. You disappointed them. You inconvenienced them. But you did not harm them. They are adults. They can handle disappointment. Third, what would have happened if I had not made this choice? If I had agreed to host Thanksgiving, I would have been exhausted for a week. I would have spent money I do not have. I would have felt resentful the entire time. I would have reinforced the pattern where I always sacrifice myself for everyone else. And when you read those three answers, the guilt loses power. Because you can see clearly, I did not do anything wrong. I protected myself. And protecting myself is not a crime. The guilt is just old programming. It is not truth. And you do not have to obey it. You just have to acknowledge it, challenge it, and keep moving forward. Before we continue with the remaining tools, I need you to do something. If this video is changing how you think about New Year's resolutions, if you are realizing that you have been using every new year to abandon yourself instead of reclaim yourself, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications. Because in January, I am releasing a video about how to handle the pushback you will get when you start setting boundaries and prioritizing yourself. You are going to need that video. So subscribe now, hit that bell, and let's finish with the final tools. Now let's talk about the resistance you will face when you start living according to your commitments instead of other people's expectations. Because resistance is coming. It is inevitable. And if you are not prepared for it, it will derail you. The resistance comes from two places, external and internal. External resistance is other people pushing back. Internal resistance is your own fear and doubt, and you need strategies for both. External resistance shows up as guilt-tripping, criticism, and withdrawal. When you say no to something you used to always say yes to, people will be upset. They will say things like, "You have changed. You are not the person you used to be. You are being selfish. What happened to you?" And all of those statements are designed to pull you back into compliance, to make you feel bad for prioritizing yourself, to make you question whether you are doing the right thing. But here is what you need to understand. Their discomfort is not your problem. Their disappointment is not your responsibility. You are not required to sacrifice yourself to keep other people comfortable, and their resistance is actually proof that you are doing something right. Because if your changes did not threaten their ability to take from you, they would not be resisting. So when someone guilt trips you, you do not defend yourself. You do not explain. You do not try to make them understand. You simply hold your boundary. I understand you are disappointed. This is still my decision. I hear you. This is what works for me. You do not need their approval. You do not need them to agree. You just need to hold your ground. And most of the time, after they realize they cannot guilt you back into compliance, they will adjust. They will find someone else to take from, or they will learn to respect your boundaries. And if they do not, if they keep pushing, keep criticizing, keep trying to control you, that tells you everything you need to know about the relationship. It was never about you. It was about what you could do for them. And losing a relationship like that is not loss. It is liberation. Internal resistance is harder to manage because it is coming from inside you. It is your own voice telling you that you are being selfish, that you are letting people down, that you are doing something wrong. And that voice is loud. That voice has been trained for 50 years, so you cannot just ignore it. You have to actively challenge it. Every time the voice says you are being selfish, you answer back, "No, I am being self-protective, and self-protection is not selfish." Every time the voice says you are letting people down, you answer, "I am letting go of impossible expectations. I cannot be everything to everyone. I am allowed to have limits." Every time the voice says you are doing something wrong, you answer, "I am doing something different, and different is not wrong. You have to practice this internal dialogue, out loud if possible, because your brain needs to hear the counter-narrative repeatedly before it will start to believe it. And over time, the internal resistance will quiet. Not because it disappears, but because you stop believing it. You recognize it as old programming. And old programming does not get to run your life anymore. Let me tell you about Karen. She is 59. In 2025, she made the commitment to stop hosting every family holiday. For years, she had been the one who hosted Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, every birthday. It was exhausting, it was expensive, and nobody ever offered to help or even thanked her. So in 2025, she said, "I am not hosting anymore." Her family was furious. They accused her of ruining family traditions. They said she was being selfish. They guilt-tripped her for months, and the internal voice was brutal. Karen told me she almost gave in a dozen times, almost agreed to host just to make the guilt stop. But she held her ground. She said, "I am done. Find someone else to host or do not have a gathering. I am not doing it anymore." And here is what happened. After the initial anger, her family adjusted. Her sister hosted Thanksgiving, her brother hosted Christmas, and Karen attended as a guest. She brought a dish. She stayed for a few hours. She left when she was tired. And for the first time in 30 years, she enjoyed the holidays. She was not exhausted. She was not resentful. She was not spending days recovering. And by the end of the year, even her family admitted, "It was fine. We figured it out." Karen told me, "The resistance was terrible, but it was worth it, because I finally proved to myself that I can protect myself even when people push back." And that changed everything. Now let's talk about how to measure success in 2026, because if you measure success the way traditional resolutions measure it, you will fail. And you will feel terrible about yourself, so you need a completely different framework for what success means. Success is not perfection. Success is not unwavering commitment. Success is not achieving a specific outcome by December 31st. Success is alignment. Success is self-compassion. Success is learning. And once you redefine success, you free yourself from the shame spiral that traps most people. The first way to measure success is by asking, am I more aligned with my values than I was 3 months ago? Not perfect, not fully aligned, just more aligned. If your commitment is to stop saying yes when you mean no, success is not saying no every single time. Success is saying no more often than you used to. If you used to say yes 90% of the time, and now you are saying no 30% of the time, that is massive success. That is a significant shift. That is proof that you are changing. Do not dismiss that progress just because you have not reached some imaginary perfect state. Progress is success. The second way to measure success is by tracking how you feel, not just what you do. Traditional resolutions measure behavior. Did you exercise? Did you lose weight? Did you organize your closet? But behavior is not the only measure of change. Sometimes success is internal. If your commitment is to prioritize rest, success might not look like anything on the outside. You might not have accomplished more. You might not have visible results. But internally, you feel less exhausted. You feel more grounded. You feel more at peace. And that is success. That is real, meaningful change. So keep a journal where you track not just what you did, but how you felt. And at the end of each month, read back through it and notice, am I feeling different? Am I feeling more alive? That is the measure that matters. The third way to measure success is by celebrating small wins instead of waiting for big achievements. Every time you honor a commitment, even in a small way, you acknowledge it. You write it down. You say out loud, I did that. I protected myself. I honored my boundary. I chose myself. And that acknowledgement builds momentum. Because most women are excellent at noticing when they fail and terrible at noticing when they succeed. So you are going to reverse that. You are going to become someone who notices every small success, every no you said, Every time you rested without guilt. Every moment you told the truth instead of performing. All of those moments matter. All of those moments are success. And recognizing them is what allows you to keep going. The fourth way to measure success is by being willing to adjust when something is not working. Rigidity is not strength. Flexibility is strength. If you commit to something in January and by March you realize it is not working, you do not keep forcing it out of stubbornness. You adjust. You ask, what is not working? Why is this so hard? What do I actually need? And you change the commitment to something that fits your actual life. That is not failure. That is wisdom. That is you learning to listen to yourself instead of rigidly following a plan that does not serve you. Walter Riso teaches that self-compassion is the foundation of sustainable change. And self-compassion means treating yourself the way you would treat a dear friend who is struggling. You do not berate yourself. You do not call yourself weak. You do not demand perfection. You acknowledge that change is hard. You recognize that you are doing your best. And you adjust with kindness instead of criticism. That is how real change happens. Not through shame, through compassion. Let me tell you about Linda. She is 62. In January 2025, she committed to moving her body in ways that felt good. She started going to yoga twice a week. For the first month, it was great. But by March, her knees started hurting. And she realized, this is not working for my body right now. So she stopped yoga, and instead, she started walking. And the walking felt better. Her knee recovered. She kept walking. And by the end of the year, she had walked consistently for 9 months. But if she had rigidly stuck to yoga, because that was her original commitment, she would have injured herself and quit entirely. The flexibility to adjust is what allowed her to succeed. Linda told me, I used to think adjusting meant failing, but now I see, adjusting means I am listening to myself. And listening to myself is the whole point. That is the reframe. Adjusting is not failing. Adjusting is succeeding at self-awareness. So here is where we are. You now understand the 5 lies you have been told about New Year's resolutions. That you need to improve. That willpower is the problem. That change happens in January. That you should share resolutions publicly. And that success means keeping them all year. You understand the psychological damage those lies cause. Chronic inadequacy, reinforced self-abandonment, shame spirals, and disconnection from your desires. You understand why women over 50 need a different approach. You are depleted, you have less time, you have wisdom, and your body is different. And you have a new framework. Making commitments instead of resolutions. Commitments grounded in self-knowledge, focused on subtraction, flexible, private, and measured by alignment rather than perfection. And you have 5 essential commitments to consider. Stop saying yes when you mean no. Stop performing and start being real. Prioritize rest without guilt. Set boundaries even with family. And spend time on joy. You have strategies for implementation, for managing guilt, for handling external and internal resistance, and for measuring success in ways that honor your humanity instead of demanding perfection. You have everything you need to make 2026 the year you finally stop abandoning yourself and start reclaiming your life. Now let me tell you what 2026 can look like if you make these commitments. It will not be perfect. You will not transform into a completely different person. But you will feel different. You will feel lighter because you are carrying less. Less obligation, less resentment, less guilt. You will feel more grounded because you are making choices that align with who you actually are instead of who you think you should be. You will feel more alive because you are finally prioritizing joy, rest, and truth instead of performance. And you will feel more at peace because you are no longer at war with yourself. You will say no to things you used to say yes to out of obligation. And people will adjust. Some people will respect your boundaries, some people will distance themselves, and you will learn that losing people who only valued you for what you could do for them is not actually loss. It is clarity. You will rest when you are tired instead of pushing through exhaustion. And you will discover that rest does not make you less productive. It makes you more human. You will speak your truth instead of performing pleasantness. And you will find that some people cannot handle your truth. But the people who can handle it become your real community. And real community is worth more than a crowd of people who only like the performed version of you. 2026 will be the year you stop trying to be more and start learning to be enough. Enough as you are. Without improvement, without perfection, without constant self-sacrifice, just enough. And discovering that you are enough, that you have always been enough, that you did not need to spend 50 years trying to earn worthiness you already had, that discovery will change your life. Not loudly, not dramatically, but profoundly, quietly, permanently. Walter Riso teaches that the most important relationship you will ever have is the relationship with yourself. And for most of your life, that relationship has been neglectful at best, abusive at worst. You have ignored your needs. You have violated your boundaries. You have criticized yourself endlessly. You have abandoned yourself over and over. And 2026 is the year that relationship changes. The year you start treating yourself the way you have been treating everyone else, with care, with respect, with compassion, with loyalty. And when that relationship heals, everything else shifts, not because external circumstances change, but because you are no longer willing to tolerate what you used to tolerate. You are no longer willing to sacrifice what you used to sacrifice. You are no longer willing to pretend you are fine when you are not. Before you leave this video, I need you to do 4 things. First, go to the comments and type how many years you have been making New Year's resolutions that abandon you. Just type the number and see how many other women have been trapped in the same cycle. You are not alone. Thousands of women have spent decades resolving to be more for everyone else and nothing for themselves. And recognizing that is the first step toward breaking the pattern. Second, choose one commitment from this video, just one. The one that feels most urgent. Write it down and commit to practicing it for the first quarter of 2026. Do not try to do everything. Just do one thing and do it with consistency and compassion. Third, subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. Because in January, I am releasing a video about how to handle the guilt and pushback that comes when you start prioritizing yourself. That video is going to give you exact language and strategies for managing resistance. You need that video, so subscribe now and hit that bell. Fourth, share this video with one woman who needs it, someone who has spent her life living for everyone else. Someone who makes the same resolutions every year and fails every year and thinks something is wrong with her. Someone who is ready to stop abandoning herself and start reclaiming her life. Send it to her. Let her know. You are not broken. The system is broken. And 2026 can be different. You do not need to improve. You need to accept yourself. You do not need more discipline. You need more compassion. You do not need to be more for other people. You need to finally be something for yourself. And 2026 is the year that happens. Not because everything will be perfect, but because you will finally stop demanding perfection and start honoring your humanity. And that is everything. I will see you in 2026.